This poem is a bit more chill than the last one that I did. It's not. It's called I Loved Them. It's not a real story, so please don't think I'm a serial killer. Each village has a curse, they say. I'd always been the curse of mine. Born with two demonic tusks in my mouth. The shaman would decry them as signs of devil worship somewhere in our forest. But everyone in the village had a job, even the children, even the tusked devils, and mine was to make masks. It was my job because nobody knew how to do it anymore, and they didn't want to give me a job they'd have to teach. I had to study the masks of our ancestors, try and figure out from the shape, the paint, and the color who it was who wore these masks. As I tinkered with our ancient rites, the adults, they'd chatter and gossip and monger about my tusks. The children, they weren't as bad as they seemed. Their judgment was intoned from their parents, who themselves just repeated the shaman's words. I didn't try to fit in much, and now they're all dead. I've since realized I should have tried to fit in more, so maybe, as penance, I've begun to make more masks. I have a mask which is painted with the color of spring, flowers for a smile, sunbeams for eyelashes. When I wear it, I'm the only one in the room, just like she was, mingling whenever the village had guests, as if she was strolling through a garden. I loved her, and so I put on this mask to feel light, just for reminding myself of her love. But she wasn't the hardest to bury. I have a mask for him. It's a plain white mask, mouth stretched in distress, rivulets of tears spreading down the sunken sockets, which are lakes where my eyes can be submerged. Everyone close to him would slip into despondence before long. His sister swung from a tree. His mother bled from her wrists. The shaman would scream from the church, and the others would leave him alone. Really, he just didn't want to hurt anyone. So he never complained when everyone abandoned him for his despondence. And I loved him. And so I put on this mask to feel grief, just for reminding myself of his wish. I'll have a mask for the one who protected the village from at least one of those dark interlocutors. It's a bronze mask, eye holes protruding out like wells, diving deep into a hidden secret, a shame expressed through taut expression and ritualistic paint. The village feared me, but she was the one who they should have truly feared. Marks of blood spell eldritch mutterings heard by a broken mind. Her neutral expression poison to any joke or slight leveled her way. She threw her mortal form at her enemies that night, even impaled one or two before her dark ambitions were cut short. And I loved her, and so I put on this mask to feel safe, just for reminding myself of her rage. I've made so many masks, because there's so many that died that night. And I have a mask for each one. Let me show you then why I don't have a mask for myself. There was the boy who first spotted their blades. I loved him, and so I put on this mask to feel fear, just for reminding myself of his scream. It was my cousin who told us to run. I loved her, and so I put on this mask to feel care, just for reminding myself of her tears. And then the choir boy pleaded for grace. I loved him, and so I put on this mask to feel hope, just for reminding myself of his plan. And then a scream as a means to distract. I loved him, so I put on this mask to feel brave, just for reminding myself of his ploy. There was the urchin who knew the way through the forest, the eldest who kept us together, the bookworm who made us calm in the panic, and the bully who forded the river. I loved every one of them, and so I made masks to remember them, because for all my empathy, I stood by and watched them die, one by one before me. Those men, clad in leathers and clutching pillaged weapons, pawed through the children's corpses, looking for trinkets and coin. One saw me crouched, cowering, and stumbled back in fright. To him, I was no child, no, I was a righteous demon. My tusks implements for the dark magic within me. Maybe he was just scared, or maybe his spite towards the world made him think everyone was just worse off if he let me run. I always thought that I wasn't afraid of anything. I didn't mind when I'd die. Sooner was better than later, I thought. That Nobody would care when I'm gone, or try to save me like the other children did that night. But I was made to realize death really did scare me. It still does, because who else will carry their masks to act out the lives they never had? That was always my job. But I hope you can keep the tradition alive.